Good evening, good evening, good evening. And if you're looking at my face, you know what time it is. It's time to put your game face on. I'm Richard the Razor Ewing. I'm here with my co-host here, Matt, none the wiser wise, and we do this every week. But as you know, Mac, before I get started, I got to go to the questions.
Hit
So
'em.
if you're trying to figure out a type of design for that new apron that you bought, you're on the wrong podcast. And if you're trying to figure out a type of way to get your azaleas to bloom better, you're on the wrong podcast. However, if you're trying to get insight into San Francisco Bay Area sports, you just put your game face on. And if you're trying to get insight on sports on a national level, once again, you put your game face on. As I said before, I'm Richard the Razor Ewing. He is Matt, none the wiser wise. Matt, what do we got?
Yeah, buddy. We got the Stanford women brought a championship to the Bay Area.
Yeah.
So shout out to Tara Vandeveer.
Yeah.
The Warriors are on a little bit of a slide here. Baseball season is in full swing. Giants opening day, A's opening day weekend. There's a lot going on as always. You can see my smile. I can't contain it. I am so excited.
Yeah, it's funny. Check me out though. All right. Look at you. Okay.
6-man club.
6-man club. That's old school. Yeah, still have it. So, but yeah, I was telling you, we were talking about this a couple of weeks ago, I think, and even last month. How I've been watching Tara Vandeveer for years. Really, just when it comes to Bay Area, coaching, just coaching excellence. What she did for the Stanford Cardinals this year is amazing. They brought a championship back to Palo Alto. Actually, I should say Stanford because people don't know this, but the Stanford Cardinal is its own city.
It's an island unto itself.
Yeah. So like if you were to mail, if you had a family member or a friend that was living on Stanford campus, you couldn't mail it and say Palo Alto, California. You have to say Stanford, California. They have their own mayor, their own fire department, their own police department. I was like, wow. The first time I found that out, I was like, wow. So they get that done. The Cardinal gets it done. 2 huge nail biter of a games, between Arizona and South Carolina, both 1-point winners. I mean, you couldn't have done this in better fashion.
You couldn't have. Yeah, and it was a beautiful thing. And shout out to the Lady Cardinals, Tara Vandeveer. Again, I mean, I caught the end of the game, and just that last play where Arizona's trying to get a shot in, and there was 4 Stanford defenders around the point guard trying to make the shot, and she just had to throw it up. I mean, it was a hope and a prayer. And I was hoping and praying that it wasn't his fault. And I'm so glad it didn't. Shout out, I mean, Arizona, great season. I mean, you can't knock their accomplishments. And it was a great game. And it was something great to watch. So actually probably going to be a better game than the men's national championship game, which is going on right now. So the women's national championship, to me, it was a better game this year.
Yeah. I also think that when you look at the sophomore Haley for the Stanford Cardinal, she got the MVP, rightly so. She's been playing very well throughout the season, and particularly in post time. And but you just kind of think about everything that they had to go through. The team had to go through. I mean, first of all, they had to deal with COVID, which I know every other team did, but the way they handled themselves during COVID was amazing in its own right. Okay. They kept themselves clear of COVID. No one got COVID this season, okay, which is amazing, okay, because everybody was just, if you're on a sports team, at some point, 1 or 2 players was getting it. No one on their team got it. What else was very dignified was that, and I can't think of the girl's name, one of the players, she was saying how they had a situation where they were supposed to stay within quarantine for 5 days. They stayed in quarantine 4 days, and they finally went out and actually played a pickup game. And Tara Vandeveer really, really got upset at them about that. She felt very disappointed. It felt like they had let her down. And after that, they were just like, okay, look, guys, we blew it. Okay. They're like, and the one girl was saying, okay, we need to go out here and play like we've never played before and bring home a national title. And that's exactly what they did.
And they did. And 29 years since the last one. That was the big number they were throwing out at the end of the game. 29 years since the last one, which was in 1992.
Wow.
I believe it was. So, shout out to the Stanford Cardinals, because to me, when I think of college basketball and I think of the excellence in college basketball, I think of a Stanford basketball program. Whether it's men's or ladies, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. Well, you consider the fact that Tara Vandeveer as the head coach has put together some very, very, just in my opinion, competitive campaigns throughout the years. They talk about the 29 years it took for him to get this third one, but one of the things they don't talk about is the fact that they have always had competitive teams. They've always either gotten to the Elite Eight or the Final Four, and for whatever reason they couldn't get over the hump. But they were always very competitive. And so that's the reason why you got to tip your hat to Tara Vandeveer, because, she's just a fighter, in my opinion. Just continues to fight on, continues to direct and teach these girls, the game of basketball in a very unique way.
And doing it the right way. And listen, my money next year on the Stanford Cardinals, Tara Vandeveer. And if I'm going to do that, Richard, I'm going to do it over on betonline.ag. BetOnline.ag is the fastest and easiest way to bet on all sports action. The Masters is here. I don't know about you. I'm not a huge fan of I'm a huge fan of golf, but I'm not a huge fan of watching golf on TV. I think it's a little bit boring, but the Masters are going on. And if you want to go put your money down, BetOnline has you covered for all the news, scores, and odds. It's the best way to place your bets, and it's free to sign up. So head over to betonline.ag or use your mobile device to sign up today and receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Again, that's betonline.ag, your online sportsbook experts.
Hey, so there you have it, folks. I mean, if you think you got what it takes to pick the winner, hey, there you go. There's a route you can take. So we look at, the Lady Cardinal and everything that they've been able to achieve this year. So hats off to them. We're going to get into some Warriors, and I know this is kind of depressing.
Well, before we get into Warriors, let's talk about a dude that's being projected to fall to the Warriors for next year in the draft, and that's a player out of Gonzaga, Suggs, who the other night against UCLA, the number 11th ranked UCLA, number 1 Gonzaga, played one another, and Gonzaga hit a game-winning shot at the end, and it was Suggs that hit the shot, and it was an epic game, but that shot was, it was beautiful because UCLA took the lead with like 3 or 4 seconds left. He dribbled down, hit it from, dang near half court, banked it and in. That was amazing. And that player's amazing. And I would be excited to see, because the Warriors actually, you're right, haven't been playing well. Looks like they're probably going to have a decent draft pick next year, the way things are going. And there's a guy that may fall to you that looks pretty solid.
Yeah, I think, there's hoping and wishing, and then there's what is. Okay. I think what's happening is there is definitely some dissension in the locker room. It came out a couple of days ago that Kelly Oubre, they spoke to him about the possibility of him coming off the bench. And he basically stated in so many words that he's not a come off the bench person. He basically feels that he should be starting. And so now you got some of the guys on the team are not really liking his response, because the culture inside the Warriors locker room is this: contribute where you can to help the team. That's their culture. Okay. It's a culture they built over the last 6 seasons. It's been working. They bring somebody in, KD, and KD's KD. We get that. He can pretty much decide what he wants to do, because, he's going to give you 35 every night. So, but even he didn't like the whole, contribute where you can type culture. So he jets, they get Oubre. Oubre's got certain skills, But we got to be honest, he's not Klay Thompson. So if when Klay does come back, that's what they want to do. They probably want to bring Oubre off the bench. Now, he may have talked himself out of a possible spot on the team, okay? Because if he says yes to that, he may even get paid a bigger contract. But the problem is, you coming off and saying, "Oh, well, you know, I'm not a come off the bench guy." It's like, okay, you don't sound like you want to contribute.
Yeah, I mean, the Warriors team is definitely a team built around being a team, right?
Mm-hmm.
And everyone playing their roles and everyone having their, you know, their spots and what they do and what they do best, and then it's all centered around their stars. And it's not really a team built around guys to have a huge ego. You know, it's a pretty humble team, and you know what, everybody gets their shine, they share the rock. You know, so it's not a team that, and at this point you really just don't want a lot of disruptions. And hopefully that's what it doesn't become, is a disruption. And that, you know, they can kind of hold it together. I could see Kelly Oubre's point of it. You know, this is a year where he wants to prove himself, where he wants to, you know, put up points and have a good showing for himself, as he's going to get a contract next year. So, you know, he's playing for money. So it's tough, man. But, you know, the Warriors this year it's been tough. And it's not, I don't see it getting much easier. As they're going to give more and more playing times to some of the younger players, to see kind of what they got actually going into next year.
Well, I think the other thing that the Warrior fan base probably does not understand about the game of basketball, especially in the NBA, is that what's happening right now in Golden State is supposed to happen. It is. I'm sorry. If you guys thought that
we've been spoiled.
Yeah, we've been spoiled. And, you know, we got 3 championships in 5 years. 5 times we've been in the finals. I mean, that is, in my opinion, you know, more than what we could have bargained for from this franchise, seeing as their history is concerned. But I'm saying, when you have, you know, David West, Andre Iguodala, you know, Kevin Durant, and the other guy, I can't think of his name right now.
But see, those were all role players. Those were all guys that were coming in that weren't coming in to be the stars.
Right.
You know?
But they were all contributing. See?
Right.
And I'm saying, but when you have those types of caliber of players that are all thinking the same thing, yes, your team is going to gel. And that's what happened. Now, the problem is all those guys are gone. So what do you have now? You have a bunch of young guys, okay, with a few veterans, and the veterans are trying to get the young guys on track, saying, hey, look, this is what we need. This is the direction we should go. And the young guys are trying to figure this out. You know, you have, you know, Wiseman, who's totally new. You know, he's like a baby in diapers right now in the NBA. Okay. He's trying to figure this whole thing out. And he's playing against some of the most perennial players that have been in the league. I mean, come on, was playing against, you know, Gobert. Gobert is a top 10 center. Okay, I mean, what do you expect? Did you expect him to just come in and just start shooting like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and, you know, blocking shots like Wilt the Steel Chamberlain? It's like, no, come on. He's 19 years old. He's only been 3 games in college. Didn't have no training camp. You know, no summer league. He didn't have anything. And the fan base is upset because the team is where it is. It's like we want that instant gratification.
Yeah, and like you said, we've been spoiled. And credit to the franchise. Like, it's not like, okay, we've done our part. We've got 3 out of 5 years. We got our rings. We got our championships. You know, now we don't care. The franchise hasn't taken that position. You know, they still want to build on it. And I hope they become a franchise that's like the San Antonio Spurs, that is consistently every year in the playoff picture. And I think that's the direction that the Warriors want to go, and the direction that they're going to continue to go. And this year this wasn't the year. You know, you had Klay going out right before the draft. You draft Wiseman, who doesn't have much college experience. to bring him in. So if he makes a big splash in the NBA, great, but you're not expecting it. I wasn't expecting him to go off and be a dominant force in year one. I think he's been a solid player. I think he's shown glimpses of what he can do and what he can become, and that's exciting. So I'm just trying to look towards the future and see what happens there.
Okay, so as you guys know, as you watch our show, when it comes to baseball, none the wiser is the best. That's what he does. So I'm a sit back and let you take controls.
Well, I did watch quite a bit of baseball this last weekend, and I was
wait a minute, including your own son's team, which you.
Well, coached. we did have a scrimmage on Saturday, and absolutely we won. So that's always a good thing. But it's a scrimmage. We're just getting them out there, getting a feel for the game. But the majors, I was blown away by the Giants and the way they performed against the Mariners opening day weekend in that 3-game set. Granted, they only won 1 out of the 3 games, but they should have won 2 out of the 3. They should have had the first game. They blew it. They gave it away. The bullpen gave it away in the first opening night. But what I was excited to see, and don't you dare yawn, Richard, but what I was excited to see, because Buster Posey went yard back-to-back game.
Yes, he did.
And to see him back, and not only did he go yard, the expectation isn't for him to be a slugger this year. They have him down in the 7th spot. So they got him down in a position where catchers normally hit, not up in the 4 or 5 slot. And he's down there raking. So I'm really excited. I'm excited to see what this season's going to hold. Again, it's going to be tough for them because they're in a tough division with the Padres and the Dodgers. And I think they play 48 games against both of those teams. And that's going to be tough for the Giants. On the other side of the bay, watching the Oakland A's was sad, was hard because Houston just ran them out of town.
Yeah. That was just, I heard about it and I was like, wow, really? I was like,
the highlight of the A's this weekend was actually seeing one of the kids from Little League catch a foul ball and be on TV. That was the highlight of the A's this weekend. So, but we'll see what happens. It's a long season.
Yeah, you're very right. It is a long season. But let me ask you: you saw Johnny Cueto this weekend. What is his velocity look like this year?
Hey, I mean, he's not going to be up there high in velocity. I think he's going to be, low 90s, maybe mid 90s, on a good day. But he's going to be low 90s. But listen, Johnny Cueto is there's levels to pitching. Mm-hmm. There's guys that are just out there chucking the rock, right? Just throwing that ball. And then there's guys that know where to put the pitches, that are setting up 2 pitches ahead. And that's a guy like Johnny Cueto. And with his funky delivery, with everything, I think he's going to be okay. I don't think he's necessarily going to need the velocity. It is down though. Let's not be mistaken by that. But I think he's going to be okay. And he had a great outing. So I can't be mad at Johnny Cueto at all.
Okay, so on to some national stuff. So apparently, Deshaun Watson has become Mr. Double Deuce. 22 women have filed lawsuits now. And we all know that, the talk around as far as, where this guy was going to land was either Denver or San Francisco. And I basically was never on board with him coming to San Francisco because I just knew to even have him come here, they were going to have to give up a lot. And I feel like giving up half a team for one guy, that's always a bad, it's just a bad concoction to drink. Okay. Not to mention, I don't know what team in the NFL wants to take this guy on right now. Who?
Well, he could be playing with Paul Carew and the team, the Mean Machine or whatever. Pretty soon. It may not be about what team he lands with, it may be about what facility he land. I mean, it's just not looking good at all.
Yeah.
I mean, again, I know these are all civil cases, but there's talks of all this information being sent to prosecutors. So it's not pretty. My bet is, like Houston claimed this whole time, he's not going anywhere. I think he's going to stay in Houston, and unfortunately, I don't know if he's going to see the field. I don't know, man. This whole thing is just crazy. I don't get it. I don't understand it. Why you would throw away everything? I mean, you have everything, and to throw it away, and now, I mean, listen, 2 months ago, we were talking about this guy being the most highly coveted player in the NFL. Everybody wanted him. We were drooling over him. And now, we don't even want to discuss, the situation going on. I mean, it's just, he's fallen that far. And to be honest with you, Richard, in these situations and in these instances, I just want to block these things out. And the best way to block things out for me is I throw on some stunner shades. I throw on some sunglasses. And Richard, we got a new sponsor this week, and it's Kanon sunglasses. It's time to make your outdoor experiences better with Kanon. Kanon sunglasses are made exclusively with polarized lenses for optimal clarity. They're made with Japanese optics that make their lenses clearer, lighter, and stronger. Not to mention they have an Italian handcrafted frames that are impossible to scratch. If you go to Kanon.com, you can use their exclusive code KanonCast15. That's KAENON Cast15 at Kanon.com to receive 15% off your first pair. That's KanonCast15. Get those stunner shades. Get those glasses.
Look, you know what?
Block out all this noise.
I tell you something. I could have used a pair of those today because the sun glare was in my eyes while I was driving today. Now we talk about that. It came out today that Sam Darnold from the Jets was traded to the Carolina Panthers. And I'm wondering if this is a result of his stock going down. Is this a result of the coaching staff not really seeing that he's going to be, the legitimate future of the Jets? Or I don't know. What have you heard? What do you think?
Well, it definitely answers the question for me. Were the Jets going to do anything else with that number 2 pick? Were they going to trade the number 2 pick? Were they going to take, some weird thing? Were they going to take someone that they thought the Niners wanted? I mean, this kind of answers some questions for me. Is like, okay, I know for a fact with the number 2 pick, the Jets are taking a quarterback. All right. So as a 49er fan sitting in the 3 position, I know that 2 quarterbacks are coming off the board. So that's what it does tell me. It does tell me that the Jets are rebuilding for the future, and they're looking for a new quarterback, and Sam Darnold wasn't it. And I think everybody kind of knew Sam Darnold wasn't it because there was a lot of talk that he was, going to be moving around. So it's interesting. He ended up in Carolina, but we'll see. But now we know the Jets are taking a quarterback. So who's it going to be? That's the real question.
Okay. All right. So it also came out today that you remember our good friend from the Celtics, Paul Pierce.
I just read this story to my wife, and she said, "Are you serious?" Yeah. So apparently Paul Pierce got fired from ESPN today because he went on Instagram Live with a bunch of strippers in the background. And I just don't get it. Like, I'm a nobody, right? In life, but I have
no, wait a minute, Matt, you're not a nobody in life. You're not.
Well, I'm a somebody, but I'm not Paul Pierce. But you know what I mean? I have a lot to lose. Like, I'm not going to do something that's going to look poorly upon my family, you know, the people I work with, you know, and it trickles on down the kids that I coach in Little League. You know what I mean? Like, so it just blows my mind that like, and this is someone that just has a lot more to lose. Now, again, I'm all about people enjoying themselves and having fun and do what you want in your life. Do what you want. Like if this is what Paul Pierce wants to do, like I do not care. It just may not be a good idea to be blasting it to the world
on Instagram of all places. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I tell you something. I think what it really comes down to is this. I think that you know, when you are a Paul Pierce and you have this much money and you know you've been celebrated as a star in your craft for as long as you have, you know, sometimes your ego can become bigger than yourself. And I think in this particular case, this is what happened. I think his ego just got so stretched that he just figured out, well, hey, I got money, I got time, I can do whatever I want. But what he forgot is that, you know, ESPN has an image, okay? And their image is very important. It's what allows them to make the revenue they make. So when you tarnish their image, it's like, oh, okay, well, guess what? You want to do that, that's fine. However, you can't work for ESPN anymore. Okay, that's it. So that's kind of what happened.
But are you surprised? Because Paul Pierce had an image too, and Paul Pierce wasn't the image of a good. It's not like the ESPN was hiring Steph Curry, right? When they hired Paul Pierce, they knew what they were getting. You know what I mean? So I don't know, man. It's an unfortunate situation, and it could have all been avoided. You know?
Yeah, it could have been avoided, but I think, but I also think that's where clarity becomes so important. Okay, because when you hire a person, you know, you have to think about one. You know, this is in most cases it's going to be a pay by performance or at will position. Okay, so that being said, you have to consider, okay, I'm hiring this person because of what they can bring to what we're doing. Okay. However, okay, that person needs to know and understand that, hey, your image, okay, has to be as clean as our image. Otherwise, you can't gel with us. Okay. I think that's was not told to Paul Pierce. I thought Paul Pierce thought he could, you know, do his private life out loud in the open where everybody can see it and still work at ESPN. And it's like, well, no, you can't. Okay, so, and that's the reason why he got served his walking papers today. But I also think that you don't just find this in the Paul Pierces. You find this throughout, you know, the fame and popularity crowd. You've seen it happen all over the place across the country. I mean, you get, you know, news reporters, people who are famous in their craft, all of a sudden it comes out that, you know, they're doing this, or they got their hand in a cookie jar there, and now all of a sudden, guess what? They ain't doing what they're doing anymore. I mean, I was shocked when Matt Lawyer lost his position because of what he did. I was like, are you kidding? This guy's been on the morning show for I don't know how many years, and all of a sudden, come to find out he's getting you know, accused of sexual harassment. I'm like, what? That was just something. And they showed him, you know, on his last day in the office, packing up his stuff, put it in a box. I was like, wow, just like that. And he's gone. He's no longer going to represent NBC.
Well, and it just goes to show that like one bad choice, you know, or one bad decision can do a lot of harm, not only for yourself, but for other people. Other people will be hurt by it, especially if you're a public figure. And that's why, you know, I'm always, you know, very, very careful as to where I put, you know, my athletes or the people that I look up to in the sports world, where I put them. And I look at them as great athletes, right? That have done great accomplishments athletically. But they may not all be the people that I'm getting my moral compass from.
Right.
Now,
exactly.
I am very, very, very proud of the rehabilitation that the NFL and the NBA have done in the last 10 or 15 years of their image. Because you are getting, I think we are getting more players like Steph Curry, like LeBron James, you know, that actually understand the consequences of making those maybe one bad choices or one bad decision, and how it could affect a gajillion people because of the influence they have. And those are two guys that, in my opinion, that are trying to do it the right way. And we do need to, I think, acknowledge those guys and applaud them for trying to do it the right way and setting the example and setting the bar a little bit higher.
Well, I think on the other end, though, we also have to remember this much. At the other end, there's the players and athletes that we see that are, underneath the lights and underneath the camera's eye, for the time that we see them. And then there's who they are in real life. And none of us really know who they are in real life. I mean, I basically followed Michael Jordan's career for years because I was just enamored of the way this dude could play. It was amazing. I never seen anything like it. But then as time went on, I got to know Michael Jordan, the person. And I started to realize, you know what? Michael Jordan, the person, is not a guy I think I want to hang out with. You know what I mean? He's very, very, about, it's all about Mike. You know what I mean? It's just like, okay, you know what? That's probably not the guy I want to hang out with because.
Did you really want your kids to grow up and be like Mike? Now, I want him to be like Mike, the basketball player. Yes, but maybe not to be like Mike, the person.
Right. Okay, with that, we are going to have to shut it down. Okay. And if you've been listening and you've been watching, I hope you enjoyed this. And I know because you're here. So, like I always say, you can come here, you can put your feet up. You can have yourself a drink if you want to. But if you do, remember, he's Matt, none the wiser wise. I'm Richard the Razor Ewing, and this is GameFace.